Hey, my name's ShawNshawN. I sell art on ShawNshawN.co and specials on eBay. Today we're going to look at artist Betty Krause. Let's get into it, guys.
Blick online, and it is a 60 by 60, 20 ounce and 1 3/8 inch profile.
So just off the bat, the volume's a little low on
During
this.
this video, I do not have music playing in the background, so feel free to turn up any music that you enjoy listening to. I am, however, going to be talking through most of my process here and talking about.
So the good thing is she doesn't have music, so I don't have to worry about copyright, so that's not a bad thing. But generally I like to add music myself in my painting tutorials. Some people like to, if you're doing it real time, I would just leave it normal audio. You're going to get that nice brush stroke and the sound and everything. I don't do it personally in mine, but I do think that's appealing if you're watching it live. I think she's doing it a time lapse, so and just has voiceover on top, which is a good way to do a full scale painting that might be 3 hours, and you boil it down to maybe 10 minutes or something that's watchable for your normal viewer. I mean, the really hardcore art fans might watch it for an hour, but I generally think that you should kind of boil it down. So let's keep going.
About some of the tools that I'm using. The way I like to get started is just using a regular number 2 pencil and then using some colored pencils as well. And this part of the process is just loosening up, moving my arms around, getting something down so that I'm not looking at just a white canvas. I've got a variety of different mark making tools. I'm going to include a link below to all of my favorite tools, or favorite art supplies as I like to call it, and you'll be able to see the stuff that I like to use.
So yeah, I mean, she's showing kind of like there's links to the art supplies below. That's a really smart way to kind of have affiliate links if you want to do it as kind of if you have a lot of views on your channel, you should obviously start adding affiliate links, get paid even more on the backside from a YouTuber standpoint, so that's really smart. Let's skip ahead a little bit. This is a longer video.
My goal here is to just simply put down paint and to cover the canvas. Not entirely, there'll still be parts of it showing through, but I'll get quite a bit of it covered up.
It's interesting too, she's not really using a big brush. I would just use a really big brush.
I'm using is also by Nova. I stick it in my Liquitex bottles because I love using the squirt bottle as opposed to the big 1-gallon jug that I get from Nova.
So let's go a little ahead just to make this a little faster.
As you noticed, I have sped up this video so that we're not sitting here for days watching me go through this process. But one cool feature that YouTube has is if you're looking at the screen and you look at the lower right hand corner, you'll see several different icons, and one of them is a round circle that looks like a gear. If you click on that gear, you're going to see several different options, and one of them is going to be to control the speed of the video.
Yeah, so that's an important point. If you're watching a really long video, it might be an hour, like this one's an hour, you could actually speed this up even faster. But she has a lot of good points on the voiceover, so you probably just watch this normal speed, so it's really smart. She's getting people to buy into a whole hour. It's probably maybe a 4 or 5 hour painting, and she's boiled it down to an hour. She's reduced it. But because she has really good commentary on the voiceover, you're hesitant to speed that up and just watch the painting unfold. So I think that's a really smart technique as far as grabbing your interest holder and have them watch a longer video, but have them good, valuable data points along the point for an artist's viewpoint. And also just to show the process if you're just a collector per se and you're really interested in art. So I'm going to skip ahead to the next video just to make this a little faster. And this is an art talk Q&A. Ahead a little bit.
So I'm all good with that. Hope you guys are having a good Friday. I'm in California, so let me know where you're from as well. It is absolutely gorgeous here in California. We are experiencing kind of like summertime weather.
So this is a really nice idea. You kind of reach out directly to your buyers or your other artists that are watching you, and you get a lot of thing if you have a live thing on YouTube or Facebook. This is a really great way to reach your audience. I probably would have put a painting in the background, just showing the where you paint is kind of ugly. It's fine because she's a painter, right? I'm a painter. I always film in my dirty studio, but I think I would have put a painting in the background a little bit. But yeah, it looks very authentic doing this. So I mean, let's just skip ahead a little bit. We talk about the California weather, which is awesome. I live there.
Or I'm doing what I'm doing today. And what I used to do is kind of whimsical art because I'm not professionally trained and I don't do realism whatsoever. I'm just cannot do those proportions and all that. But I was doing kind of whimsical flowers and birds and houses and stuff like that. And that was a lot of fun, you know. It was all kind of part of my process to get to where I am today. So I can't look back at that and say, oh my God, that was just horrible.
It's really interesting. A lot of painters are either abstract or they're realists. And it's really interesting how they fall into those two buckets. There are people that are kind of on the fence on both. Like Garrett Richter is doing abstract and realism extremely well. But it's very unusual. Usually you're doing abstract really well or you're doing realism well. I've kind of dipped my toe into realism because in the local market in the Midwest where I'm at right now, it's much more a realist market as far as at the art fairs. I think in the galleries it's still very abstract, of course, but yeah, I just want to have kind of a broader appeal across the board. So you can get any buyer. They like flowers, I got a flower painting. You got a fish, I got a fish painting. You want abstract, I got abstract. So you don't need to pass those dollars at your art fair. You want to pay for those minimum coverage somehow. So if you got one of those paintings sold, even if you don't like it per se, I wouldn't pay too much work you don't like, but it definitely helps pay the bills and cover those art fair fees. So yeah, it's really interesting how she's discussing about her challenges with that. I'm going to skip ahead to the next video here. Okay, the next video is about how to pack your art. So it's a nice how-to video. I would definitely encourage artists to do this. It definitely pulls in more viewers, mostly artists obviously, but it's a great way, you know, packing your art is also just useful for a collector standpoint as well.
Hats, and this week I am the shipping department for this piece of art that I sold last week. So I'm going to show you first of all the back of it. It's already been wired, and I'm showing you how I put the title, my signature, the year, and also I glue a business card in there.
So this is kind of a nice point. She's putting actually a business card in the background. You obviously want to have some kind of branding so that people can follow up with you. Having your website in there is really important. The title, the frame, the year. I just actually make labels and I glue them into the canvas so that they don't fall off. I also add certificate authenticity. This will add more value if they ever resell it, because people without that are going to have a harder time selling the market. Like, who is ShawNshawN? Is he even valuable? But if they have that kind of thing, they look it up and they're like, oh, that's that person. Okay, this is more authentic. So that's a really good value add as far as shipping.
So this one is ready to go. I'm going to show you some supplies, scissors, and a knife.
So I think it's pretty solid. The one thing I'll make a comment is she could have had a better sound. There's kind of like a background thing. So yeah, I would just work on getting better sound quality. It can really degrade your audience. She probably has a lot of people watching this still, but if it had a clear sound, she might be losing a few people because of the sound quality. So you always want to make sound your highest priority, and then the visual in a video, because people watch crappy visual, but they won't tolerate crappy sound. So you definitely want to work on that.
Regular tape and shipping tape. And this is glassine. I'll have a link on where to buy glassine.
Just skip ahead a little bit.
Archival tissue paper, and I've measured it out. And this one is exactly 24 inches wide, which is the size of my canvas, 24 by 24. So I measured that out, and I'm just taping the back side of it.
So that's kind of what they do in the professional museum or art galleries, adding this tissue. You can just use the saran wrap. It's fine as well. This looks a little more professional though. Skip ahead a little bit.
The bubble wrapping, which I'll show you, and adding corners to it as well. All right, so now it is completely covered. Here I have a bubble bag instead of bubble wrap.
So one thing I'll make a comment, you definitely want to coat your paper, your painting in something that's not going to stick to the painting. If you do the raw bubble wrap, it can occasionally, especially if you use acrylic, stick and bind into the painting if it's too long in the sun and kind of outdoors or something and they haven't unwrapped the box. It can actually bind to the painting, and then you pull it off, you're going to pull off the paint. So definitely you want something that's non-stick across that painting before you put the bubble wrap.
Which I really like these bubble bags. And you can't see me, but I'm trying to show you the roll of, you can use either one. the roll of bubble wrap, or a bag. The bags I purchased from Uline, and there's going to be a link down in the notes. And these are 36 by 36 inch bags.
Go ahead a little bit.
You want to sit and watch me writing a note. All right, so here's some options for
So
corners.
go ahead. So she's adding corners here. That's pretty
just
smart.
putting these together, very simple to put together. And this second one, I kind of made it a little bit smaller, and you'll see it's too hard to put on. So
I think this is okay, but I think I would just add extra bubble wrap. You can bubble wrap the corners and then tape it down, so it's the same effect as using these corners. I don't think I'd buy these corners at all. If you're selling to a high-end client, it's high-end. You might want to look that high-end, so I think that's kind of what she's appealing to. If she has a really high-end client, they're paying a couple thousand for the painting. She's making the packing look as professional as the painting. So I don't know if the customer really cares about it, as long as it's professionally packed as far as solid, and it gets there in one piece and it's nothing's damaged. I don't know if they really care about this really kind of cool looking packaging, but it kind of helps sell the art sometimes. You can just sell it just based on the packing.
the back side, so where it's already glued together, I open that up, and then I'm going to cut it on the other side, about the same place where the opening is. And what I'm going to be doing here is I am going to custom make this box so that it fits a 24 by 24.
So yeah, this is kind of, it's a really solid box she's buying, but that's way overpriced. You can just go to your local cardboard manufacturing plants and you just order raw cardboard. You size it exactly to what you need, and then you just you cut the seams a little bit right where you need it. Say it's like 20 inches, you cut it maybe at 21. You put a little indent with the box cutters, and then you fold it on each side, and you can just make a custom frame box exactly to the painting. And you can actually double box if you need to, and it's way cheaper and way better than doing this, because you can just store the straight cardboard. You don't need too much of it, because you can obviously size any box as you sell your work. It might be the big work, it might be the small work, but you can always just go through that cardboard. It's the cheapest way to do it, and you get a custom sized box each time. It's I would not use this process. It's very expensive to do boxes this way, and it's just easier to get your own cardboard sourced from a cardboard factory.
I'm kind of flipping this over.
So let's see if she does a little head.
Ship, because I'm just getting started with the tape that you can see here. There's a lot more taping that I'll be doing shortly. So again, really important that you buy good brand of tape. I get mine at Costco. I think there's like 2, 4.
Yeah, she definitely makes a good point on the quality of the tape. Some tapes are really crappy. You definitely want this kind of tape gun she's mentioning. And while taping on the outside, it's like you just charge a little bit extra in your shipping, and you can use as much tape as you want. That's what I do. You never want to undercharge a shipping, and you're like, well, I can save a cost here, save a cost there. You end up making a crappy packaging, and then maybe it opens or something, and you don't ever want that. So always charge a little bit extra, so you can just use as much packing as you need, as much cardboard as you need, as much tape as you need. And that's my encouragement. Go a little bit ahead.
Starting with taping the inside, doing that along the seam, and now I'm going across. I'll do 3 or 4 pieces of tape going across.
See, and because she uses one big huge box and cut it down, she's having it's really a flawed process the way I think she did it. If you would have had that box, what I would have done is I would open up like she did, but then I would just size it down and then redo the seams. Yeah, just kind of like hokey. She has that thing in the middle, it can stretch, and then if you drop it on the sides where it's not joined in the middle, it's going to be fragile. Just make your own box. It's going to be way better. It's about the same amount of labor as what she's doing, so yeah, I mean, if you don't know what you're doing, this is how I do it, but I would just make your own box. It's a much better process.
I've got tape running sideways.
Just go down a little further ahead. She's taping the
and I asked her to
box.
save all that stuffing for me, so I'm putting some on the bottom, and then I'm putting my canvas in. And then I'm using it to stuff the sides. I kind of open it up and use the longer side of it to stick down the sides.
Yeah, this isn't bad. I think this is a decent way to pack it. I would just bubble wrap it until it fits the box. Hence the reason for a customized box. You can get as much bubble wrap as you think you really need, and then fit the box exactly to the bubble wrap. It's a much more time-saving device. It doesn't matter in the end of the day, because you're shipping out, people are going to throw it away. But I think a custom-made box is just as easy to make, if not easier, than this process. and you're going to get that box fit. You're going to have lower postage because it's fitting to the actual painting versus you might have a couple inch here and there if you do a box like this where it's just your average consumer box and you're just kind of forcing it to fit your size. But yeah, I think overall I think she's a really strong abstract painter, and she has a really interesting process. She kind of talks about her mental process, how she's kind of putting some marks on the canvas and she slowly builds up. In abstract, you kind of want to do that. You just want to kind of slowly build up the composition, very free flowing. The real challenge is once you get to the middle to the end, and you're going to have that real challenge of like, are you overworking it? Are you not overworking it? The middle might be really crappy and then it gets good at the end. So you have that kind of unknown quality. The beginning is easy where you just put some marks in the canvas and kind of slowly build it in. But yeah, it's very challenging, I think, as an abstract artist versus the realist artist. A realist artist, you just kind of, does it look like a tree? Does it look like a bush? Does it look like a car? You obviously have to have the skills to do it. So that's, I think in some sense it's more of a skill set than an abstract painter, but you'll find realist painters that can't paint abstract at all and they really struggle with it. So it's very interesting to see that difference between abstract and a realist painter. I think she has some really solid abstract painting. It's very interesting, kind of fun to watch. And yeah, that's Betty Krause. So hopefully you guys like it. Go check out her channel and hopefully check out mine. Thanks for watching, guys.